Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Before we dive in, please take a minute to subscribe to my channel if you don't already. And please check out the link you see on your screen for a message from our sponsor, The Motley Fool, where you can get the top 10 stocks to buy right now. And the last part of my portfolio, these are the last 7 stocks that I haven't talked about yet. These are 7X SPACs that I still own. So you can see them all on your screen. You've probably heard of at least a few of them. So let's go through these one at a time and why I haven't sold them yet, what I'm thinking about them, and things like that. So Nextdoor, and this is possibly the one that I'm most eager to hold on to on this list. Nextdoor, they're the neighborhood-focused social network. A lot of people make fun of Nextdoor because it's a place where you just go to complain about your neighbors, but there's a lot more to the business. It's a great advertising platform for small businesses as opposed to some of the bigger social networks where it can get kind of confusing. Just one example. Their CEO is great. Sarah Fryer is formerly of Square or Block. She's essentially credited with building their financial business, the Cash App, into what it is today. $810 million market cap right now. I think the stock is very undervalued at current levels relative to its potential. They have a lot of cash and reserves and a lot of runway for growth. Offerpad iBuying has been a very disappointing business lately. It's a really tough business if you own hundreds or even thousands of homes like Offerpad does on your balance sheet, and then the real estate market just grinds to a halt. So these are essentially Offerpad and its rival Opendoor have essentially been priced like they're going to go out of business. You can see $172 million market cap that was in the billions not too long ago. They buy and sell homes directly. It's one that I bought a small position in earlier. I've added to it at more, closer to the current prices. Still a pretty small position for me, but I think there is a path forward if they can get out of the current mess. There's a lot of value to be unlocked in this business. 23andMe, you've probably heard of the genetics kits that'll tell you, where your ancestors came from, things like that. So they have that consumer-facing product line. They also do a lot of research with their genetics, specifically pharmaceuticals. 23andMe has more genotypes of individuals than any other company in the world, and they're using that to develop pharmaceuticals. They're still in pretty early stage testing, but they do have a few promising products in the clinical pipeline and as any biotech investor knows, even one successful drug can be billions of dollars. So this is definitely a lottery ticket play. It went public through a SPAC sponsored by Richard Branson. The consumer-facing business is fine, but the other side of the business is losing money because it takes a lot of money to develop pharmaceuticals. So if they can really show some traction on that, this one could be a big long-term winner. Protera, they're an electric vehicle play, but they are a battery technology company. They build some of their own vehicles, but their primary thing is the platform they offer for heavy vehicles to use. Things like buses don't use the same, can't use a Tesla battery. They have to have their own platform. About $1 billion company, has actually been a pretty decent performer for a SPAC and one that they're executing. So I'm going to hold on to it in my portfolio for a while. Lucid is another one. That stock has just plunged lately. Thankfully I trimmed up my position a while ago. I just have a very small position in Lucid right now. The product is fantastic, but as we all know, a good product doesn't necessarily make a great business. Lucid now trades at a much more palatable valuation of a little under $15 billion. So if it can end up being, the next Tesla or whatever people want to call it, or actually just becoming a pretty big player in electric vehicles, I'm not saying they have to kill Tesla to do well. They can just, if they scale the business up to where it needs to be, this could be a pretty successful investment, but I'm not as confident in this one as some of the other ones. So it's a very small position. Sky Harbor, this was taken public during the SPAC boom by one of my favorite companies, Boston Omaha. Valuations got reset, so the stock has taken a beating, but they're doing exactly what they said they would. They got a bunch of cash and they're developing private aviation hangars at airports. The private jet industry has exploded in the past few decades, and the infrastructure just hasn't kept up. So Sky Harbor aims to be kind of the brand in private jet hangar space. So they've opened a few campuses so far. Not a lot of revenue yet, but that's to be expected. They're really just building right now. One that I like is a kind of a long-term play. Pretty small position just because Boston Omaha took it public. So I bought a few shares to keep track of it. It's one that I own, and I like the business model, but I want to kind of start seeing some revenue before I would add to that position. And Latch, this is the one that I am probably going to get rid of. Latch, I love the product. They have smart home devices and a kind of building operating system, as they call it, that uses their proprietary hardware. Really great business idea, but just terrible execution so far. Or I don't know if it's terrible execution because they haven't filed financials in several quarters. They're delinquent on their filings. They received a NASDAQ notice. If they don't get their stuff in line, they'll be delisted before too long. And the CEO and CFO just resigned. So this business is not looking good. I'm not saying it's going to go to zero because they do have a lot of cash on the balance sheet, but it's not looking good. So this is one that if I need a tax loss or a tax write-off this year, this is one that I'm probably end up pulling the trigger on. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.